The king who buried his first wife alive. Long ago, before roads crossed the forest and before the rivers carried canoes from village to village, there stood a mighty kingdom called Adonkrem. The land was rich with gold, fertile farms, and towering cotton trees that were said to whisper the voices of the ancestors whenever the wind blew. The people loved their king, King Agyeman, a fearless warrior who had defended the kingdom from countless enemies. Under his rule, harvests were plentiful, traders came from distant lands, and no child slept hungry. But behind the palace walls lived a secret that would haunt the kingdom for generations. The king had 2 wives. His first wife was Queen Adwoa, the daughter of a humble herbalist. She was kind, wise, and loved by everyone. Whenever disputes arose among villagers, she settled them with fairness. She spent her days feeding orphans, caring for widows, and praying beneath the sacred baobab tree. Her only sorrow was that after 10 years of marriage, she had never given birth to a child. The king's second wife was Queen Adwoa, a woman of extraordinary beauty whose smile hid a heart consumed by jealousy. She desired only one thing, to become the sole queen of Adonkrem. Every time the people praised Queen Adwoa, Queen Adwoa's hatred grew deeper. One evening, an old diviner arrived at the palace carrying a staff carved with ancient symbols. He warned the king, "Your Majesty, beware of the person who smiles the brightest inside your palace. The greatest enemy of a king often sleeps beneath the same roof." The king laughed and dismissed the warning. He believed no one in his family could ever betray him. Queen Adwoa, however, secretly overheard the prophecy. Fear filled her heart. "If the king ever discovers my plans," she thought, "I will lose everything." She began weaving the deadliest lie the kingdom had ever known. Over many months, strange things started happening. Cows disappeared. Children became mysteriously sick. The palace well turned red one morning, as though mixed with blood. Every disaster was carefully arranged by Queen Adwoa and her loyal servant, but every clue pointed toward Queen Adwoa. Hidden charms were buried beneath Adwoa's room. Animal bones appeared under her bed. Even the royal priest claimed he had seen her speaking with shadows at midnight. Soon the people began whispering, "The queen is a witch. The spirits have cursed us. The kingdom will fall unless she is punished." The king refused to believe it at first. But lies repeated often become heavier than truth. One night, Queen Adwoa staged the final deception. She secretly poisoned the king's favorite horse. Before dawn she cried through the palace, "The spirits have struck again." The royal priest declared, "The ancestors demand the witch be buried alive before the next full moon." The king's heart shattered. He loved Adwoa, but he feared the kingdom would reject him if he ignored the ancestors. Queen Adwoa never begged for her life. Instead she looked into her husband's eyes and quietly said, "My king, truth is like the sun. Clouds may hide it, but they cannot bury it forever." The entire kingdom gathered at the sacred hill. A deep pit had been dug. Women wept. Old men lowered their heads. Children hid behind their mothers. As Queen Adwoa stepped into the grave, the sky suddenly darkened. Thunder roared across the mountains. A strange wind circled the hill. Still, the king gave the order. The earth covered the queen, alive. The moment the final shovel of soil touched the grave, every drum in the kingdom burst at once. The sacred fire inside the palace went out. Birds stopped singing. The river that supplied the kingdom turned black. The oldest elders trembled. The ancestors are angry. From that day onward, disaster followed disaster. The rains refused to fall. The crops withered. Pregnant women lost their babies. Hunters returned empty-handed. Children cried from hunger. No sacrifice pleased the spirits. No prayer was answered. Years passed. The king became old. His once black beard turned white. Not a single child had been born to either queen. His palace, once full of laughter, became silent. Then one night the king dreamed of Queen Adwoa. She stood beneath the baobab tree wearing shining white cloth. She did not accuse him. She only pointed toward the sacred hill. When he awoke, he ordered the hill to be opened. The entire kingdom gathered. As the workers removed the soil, they expected to find only bones. Instead, they discovered Queen Adwoa sitting peacefully inside a chamber of glowing roots. She was alive. She had not aged a single day. The earth itself had protected her. The roots of the ancient baobab had wrapped around her like a mother's arms, feeding her with sacred water from beneath the ground. The people fell to their knees. The royal priest fainted. Queen Adwoa tried to flee. But before she reached the palace gate, lightning struck the ground before her. Terrified, she confessed everything. The missing cattle, the poisoned horse, the fake charms, the lies, the false accusations. Every crime. The kingdom stood in complete silence. King Agyeman collapsed before Queen Adwoa. I buried the woman who loved me because I listened to fear instead of truth. Queen Adwoa lifted him gently. The deepest wound is not made by enemies. It is made when trust is buried. The Council of Elders judged Queen Adwoa. She was stripped of her royal title and banished forever into the great forest, where, according to legend, her cries can still be heard whenever the moon is full. Queen Adwoa was crowned once again. Not long afterwards, the kingdom's rains returned. The rivers became clear. The harvest overflowed. And in what many believed was the ancestors' final blessing, Queen Adwoa gave birth to healthy twins despite her many years. King Agyeman ruled wisely until the end of his life, but he never again made a judgment without first hearing every side of the story. To remind future generations, he placed a carved stone at the sacred hill that read, "The earth may hide the innocent, but truth will always dig its way back to the light." If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another unforgettable African folktale.